Oh, I was gonna say. I was gonna say one thing. Oh, desktop audio. Make sure you have that on when we actually stream, because. Okay,
Stream
gotcha,
is
gotcha. Okay,
going. It has all pulled up, so
gotcha. I just didn't have the audio up on the stream.
yeah. I guess I'll put it. We are ready to go.
Yeah. Oh, that's really cool.
What?
Little
That
dinosaur. Yeah.
Kobe's work has like 3D printers, and so they 3D
Oh
print
yeah.
stuff to show examples, and Kobe just randomly takes shit home.
Nice.
But
I like that a lot.
they made a bunch of these to donate to the Children's Hospital, and
Yeah.
the duds they just kind of gave away to the workers or whoever wanted them. So Kobe's like, "Well, Zeppelin will love this," and I printed
Yeah.
up more than he does.
That's cool.
Alrighty, you ready to do this thing?
I am.
Alrighty, creepy stream. Let's do this thing. Maybe tonight
Actually.
we are talking about Dr. Freeman, and I will let you have the floor tonight since you did most of the research.
Okay. So Dr. Freeman. Okay. So background on Dr. Freeman. His full name is Walter Jackson Freeman II. He was an American neurologist who introduced the lobotomy to the United States. He was born on November 14th, 1895 in Philadelphia, PA, and died on May 31st, 1972 at the ripe age of 76.
So I wanna add on like how he died is really like karma, but I want
Yeah.
to wait until the end to explain.
Yeah, I saw the way he died and I was like oof, rip.
Karma, karma.
Can we get a rip in chat?
Right?
Um, Dr. Freeman's grandfather was a well-known surgeon during the Civil War, and his father was also a well-known doctor, um, as well. Sorry, um, doctor. I'm sorry, it's a massive brain fart. I was like,
Not used to doing this much work, are we?
oh, I'm not used to reading.
I know it. Sorry.
No, you're good. I'm just like not reading in general, so I just
Struggling.
stare at words and like, what?
What are
Speak.
words?
Say
What are
speak.
words?
Yeah. Um, so Dr. Freeman attended Yale University in 1912 and graduated in 1916. He also went to study neurology in the University of Pennsylvania Medical School. Okay. Uh, so his inspirations. Dr. Freeman was very interested in new and experimental procedures, and when he learned about the leucotomy in 1935, his interest was piqued, and he soon began to idolize and look up to Igas Moniz, the doctor who created the leucotomy, and started to do his own research. He enlisted the help of neurosurgeon James Watts, and eventually came to create what we now know as the lobotomy.
So it's not like he was raised in a crazy ass household. He just eventually
Yeah,
became crazy, and he's like, "Ooh, this is fascinating." So
exactly. Like, oh, go ahead. Sorry.
he's like the one fucked up people that we researched that actually had like a normal childhood.
Yeah, and I mean, like, he essentially just became fixated on this. Like, he was like, oh yeah, this is kind of cool, and then like once he actually invented or like tweaked the leucotomy, he was like, all right, this is really cool. This is really like awesome. Like, I think this will really help people. So he kind of, in a sense, became obsessed with it, like obsessed with tweaking it and perfecting it, and like really spreading this like surgery, to try to
It's
help
just
people.
it's just fucked up, especially
Oh,
how
it
many
is.
people he worked on,
Mm-hmm.
and essentially like I don't know like because like when he worked at the state asylum, like the Trans
Mm-hmm.
Allegheny State Asylum, the state literally signed off and said, "Yeah, you're good to
Mm-hmm.
do these." Well, after
Yep.
they signed off to do it, he just ran with it,
Mm-hmm.
and it took like a while for them to like, because there was nothing they could have done about it for a while, and eventually they're just like,
Mm-hmm.
"Whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa! You're
Yeah.
killing more people than you are helping."
Yeah. And it honestly just overall had a way worse effect
Yeah.
and like did a lot more damage and a lot more harm than like it
Actually,
actually helped anybody.
well, I don't know if you know if when you were researching, but when the first
Mhm.
person that he did lobotomy on, um, this guy was very like psychotic and crazy and couldn't even function or think straight. And this is like also the reason why he's like, oh, it works because it worked on one person, so
Mhm.
he ran with it.
Mhm.
And this guy, like, he did a lobotomy on him, and the next thing you know, this guy was an expert at chess, and he was able to have
Really?
very in-depth conversations and this and that.
Mhm.
And that's why he's like, ah, it works.
Mhm.
But out of all the people he killed, it's like,
Yeah.
does it
Like
though? Does
I'm not
it?
sure it actually does.
I feel like the
Yeah.
mortality rate says otherwise.
Otherwise, yeah. And like it's kind of I think a good thing that like nowadays especially we have these like different like stages of trials and stuff
Yeah.
because it works on one person doesn't mean it works on everybody else. Kind of like with the insulin thing, like and like them just accidentally happening to like figuring it out for like people that are diabetic. Like, oh, this works, this is great, and then
Right.
being like, oh, it works for everybody.
That's
Let's
why.
do this.
That's why there's like it's still in practice instead of like I
Hmm.
feel like with lobotomy, he was just like, well, it worked on one person, so it's gonna work. There was like
Yeah.
really no trial, no practice period to be like,
Hmm.
well, we're still not sure how many people it actually helps.
Hmm. Or
What,
what it'll help
yeah, or
or
what it
like
help with.
improve. Hmm.
Instead, it's just like, well, it worked on one person. Let's do this. Like, we're committing.
Yeah. One's good enough for me.
Right? Right? It's 100% success rate. We're just gonna go with it.
Large satisfaction rate.
Right? We don't have to tell them how many I practice on. We're just gonna be saying it's 100% successful, right? And if people are like,
Mhm.
cool, and it's like next thing you know, you're watching your family member die on your kitchen table.
Oh yeah. It's just like there was no like boundaries. There was no like, okay, well let's try things out and see how it goes first before we deem this a success.
Right? Like, don't think it's successful as you think it is, my dude.
Yeah, exactly. So, the differences between a leucotomy and a lobotomy. The leucotomy was created in 1935 in Portugal by Egas Moniz. He took small corings of the patient's frontal lobe and removed it. Versus with the lobotomy, it was a modified version of the leucotomy, which was first attempted on September 1936. Uh, they severed the connection between the frontal lobes and the thalamus. Um, I think it was on this slide. I think I did put like a video kind of just explaining like how the procedure is done and stuff like that. Um, but basically like sever it by kind of like wiggling like an ice pick or like wiggling a piece that kind of just like very barbarically removes the
Right?
connection.
It's
Just
like,
like kind of just like scratching it until it like
at least
basically breaks apart.
at least they were nice enough to at least knock him the fuck out instead of just like
Yeah.
you're gonna feel this like have fun because I feel like if they
Yeah.
wouldn't it's like it literally would have put the person even more shock and like
Hmm.
I feel like the mortality rate would be a lot higher than what it is.
Yeah. And
We'll discuss the mortality rate at the end. I don't know if you got
oh
if
yeah.
you figured
I,
that out.
I think I did. But what I don't think I put this in the slide later on, but the early lobotomies, they were performed by drilling a hole in the side of the head, and then they would put
Ooh.
an instrument in. Versus, like right here, this is the transorbital lobotomy. The transorbital lobotomy, they would go through the eye socket and go through like the very like thin piece of bone right here in the
Yeah.
back of the eye, and they'd like basically just like puncture enough of a hole for like the ice pick or like a nail or whatever they used to get in there. So they would like go through the eye and just like go right in, and then they would like wiggle it.
This is
Very barbaric
very making me
procedure.
queasy.
And then they would just like wiggle it until the connection was severed. And
Wiggle it just a little
I
bit.
guess it kind of goes a little bit more into detail when we cover other people later on. But that's basically the the differences between a leucotomy and a lobotomy, and then a lobotomy, like a traditional lobotomy versus a transorbital lobotomy, which
So
was
lobotomy, you get to take part of your brain out. Lobotomy, you still get to keep your brain, but we're gonna poke
it's
it.
gonna stay in there, but we're
Poke
gonna
around a little bit.
fish it out. Yeah, poke around and see how things go.
We don't even know what we're stabbing up there with. We're just stabbing, stabby, stabby, stabby. Like,
Yeah, we're just going by feel.
right? Ah, yeah, that feels about right.
That feels like the frontal lobe. That's fine.
Jesus.